Hello and welcome to Bachit with Cafemutual. Today we have Harsh Roongta from Fee Only Investment Advisors. Hi Harsh, how are you?
Hello, Muzammil. Great talking to you.
It's an honor to have you on the show.
It's really nice to be invited.
So I have some set of questions regarding passives. So first thing is, what got you interested in passives and how did you educate yourself about passive funds?
So, I think whenever you are advising a client and there is an allocation for equity, obviously passive is something that you will need to know as an investment advisor. Even for my own self, for my own investments of my own money, passive is something that you have to definitely look at, examine, even if you may or may not do it, but you have to examine it as an alternative. And that's what got me interested. You can't be an investment advisor and say that you will not be interested in passive. How did we get educated? So I think the good thing about passive is that there is a lot of data out there. And plus, I think it's currently a very small community. All the people active in okay, that's a oxymoron, but people who are active in the passive space, uh, that's not a very large community. And there is a lot of uh, education and information that is exchanged. And I can say that we have learned a lot from the practitioners in the field, whether they are in mutual funds or are other advisors or mutual fund distributors.
So according to you, under which circumstances passives make more sense than active?
So I think passive or active is basically a medium. It's really a vehicle, not really a asset class by itself. So your first choice obviously is asset selection, asset allocation selection, how much to equity, how much to debt, how much to gold, and how much to international equity, etc. Once you have made that decision based on the requirements of the client, the tenure when he will require it, the risk profile, resources available, all that goes into the asset allocation decision. Once you have decided whether it is equity or fixed income, the two places today where passives are available, again you will have a spectrum, right? In equity, you will have a spectrum, AIFs or PMSs or super focused active funds or diversified active funds. Uh, Even within passive, you will have a spectrum, which could be factor funds. You could have broad based indexes, you could have narrower indexes. So you decide depending on the client requirements which of these fit in. It's never passive versus active, it's always passive and active.
So what advice would you like to give to AMCs to make passives more acceptable to AMC or to distributors?
Yeah. So I am not really a distributor. I'm an RIA. So I think because of that, I would just say that this requires conferences such as yours, what we are having today, the Passives Conference, which you have been successfully holding for 3 years, serves a very useful purpose in removing myths around passive. No mutual fund distributor, no investment advisor can afford to ignore passives. And I think simply that fact, I think a lot of education is required. And I think that is an effort that the AMCs with their resources are better able to do, probably, than anybody else.
So, based on your experience, who demands passives more, HNIs or retail, and why?
In my experience, we have not seen clients demanding it. So it's actually us recommending it. So really, I cannot say that there is a demand for passives. Okay. So I think it is basically for us to recommend and for clients to accept. And for us to recommend, we have the right set of reasons why we have chosen passives in the case where we have chosen passives. Very rarely would we have the entire equity allocation go to a passive fund or only passive funds. It would happen, it can happen, but it happens rather rarely. It's normally a small bouquet. We don't believe in very large bouquets, but a small bouquet which will consist of passives and actives both.
Well, that was a knowledgeable session. Thank you so much for sharing your insight at Batshit with Cafe Mutual. That's all for today's episode. Stay tuned for more such interesting episodes.